This is the day that I climbed a mountain. It is the morning. It is actually 3:21 a.m. and I'm very excited. There are a couple things we needed to do before we headed up to the actual mountain. One of those was picking up the other people in our group, and the second one was getting last minute supplies because we did not prepare adequately, which, happens. We had a couple instances heading up, specifically deer just bouncing in the middle of the road, which was super fun. But this is us finally getting onto the mountain. It is early morning, it is sunrise, and this is the first sight of the sun that we had seen. It's probably about 6 o'clock. And the rest of the footage wasn't really salvageable because it was pretty dark. So this is when the sun had finally started cresting and we were getting some more natural light. And the mountains have never been my favorite thing, but I couldn't help but accept how beautiful they were being up in them. It was actually a very humbling experience for me. I'm gonna straight up apologize because there's a lot of this that is pretty shaky and pretty stupid. So sorry for that. But one thing that I thought of about being on the mountain was the early explorers that came out here, the ones that said we are going to settle this place and make it our home, and I'm forever grateful for their willingness to do that, because I'm not sure that I would have been strong enough to. It was honestly quite an experience, quite a humbling but fun experience climbing the mountain. And I can't say that I necessarily enjoyed it, but I can't necessarily say that I didn't enjoy it as well. And I think that's probably one of the most organic things about experiences as humans is sometimes things aren't easy, but they're worth it. This is the first view we had of the peak. We've been hiking for several hours getting up to this point, and I was not happy at all, and I did not want to do this. But I'm grateful that I did. This is a quick break we took at one of the meadows that was leading up to the peak, and the meadows were actually really beautiful, and it was really cool to see the peak right there looming above us, and it was almost frightening to say, we were going to climb that, we can do it. But it's okay, because the sun is coming up, and this is us, well, this is me, walking into the sunlight, because we hadn't actually felt it. And I was utterly excited, because the morning was cold, and I was tired, but seeing the sun rejuvenated me in a couple ways, and I was just happy. This is the first view we had of the valley from the saddle. That's the peak right there that we were going to be climbing, and it was windy and it was cold, but it was absolutely fulfilling. This is the peak itself, and that's an observation shack. That was at the top. That's become more of a landmark by now. And one of the things that I thought of when I was standing at the peak was the rite of passage that many cultures had about climbing mountains, about overcoming these physical challenges. And I'm forever grateful that my culture at this moment does not have a physical challenge like this to deem that I am a man or that I'm an adult. Because you know what? I can do these things. They're not easy, but they're worth it. And I loved it. Despite the pain, despite the misery. And this is us back in the car, finally leaving the parking lot. And I am absolutely blown out and tired, but ultimately feeling fulfilled, feeling accomplished. Because I did something that was hard, and I succeeded. And I can do hard things. I can be successful.